Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the channel. My name is DaReal, and we are here with some NBA 2K Mobile. In today's video, we will be going over the brand new winter themed players. We will be breaking down their stats and basically explaining what players you should be trying to craft, who you should be trying to obtain on your team, and essentially what winter players are the best for each position from point guard to center. We'll be breaking out all the rarities in the game, and we'll provide what's called our overall stat average. Now, if you guys have never checked out my stat breakdown videos, I will quickly explain how I compile this average. So we compile all the stats from shoot off dribble all the way to defending, and we come up with a formula that calculates an overall stat average for the players. It is very useful because you know which players have the best stats overall, which stats you should be trying to improve, or if you should just ignore player stats and focus on their strengths only. In the video, I also provide some suggestions for each player. I tell you what their weaknesses are and their strengths as well. So overall, it provides a lot of value for the community. So let's start the video. We're going to kick it off with the winter theme. We'll start off with the point guard position. All right, so in this new theme, there are a total of 18 new players, right? There's a total of 2 new Onyx players, 3 amethyst, 3 ruby, 3 sapphire, 3 emerald, and 4 gold. So it's a good amount of new players being added. The cool thing about this theme is that some of these players can be unlocked by opening up draft picks. So it gives you an incentive to grind the game until January 5th, which is when they will be removed. Now, we're also going to break down the top 5 craftable players and also the best team overall that you should be trying to compile when going for these winter players. All right, so now that we have that mentioned, let's start off with the point guards. All right, so we'll start with the lowest overall stat average player, and that's going to be Sapphire D'Angelo Russell. Now, you're going to notice in this video that some rarities have overall stat averages that are higher, and that's totally the point why I make it, just to give you emphasis that stats do matter in this game. So D'Angelo Russell can be crafted. Now, his areas of opportunity, and this will be very common for point guards, is post scoring and rebounding. He has a 2 in those categories. However, he has a 3 in layups and dunks, a 3 in strength, and a 3 in defending. So that really brings down his score because he has a 5 in mid-range shooting, and he has a 4 in 3-point shooting and agility along with shoot-off dribble. So D'Angelo, as far as scoring, can get the job done, but you really got to focus on bringing up his other stats for him to be effective on your team. Next, you got Emerald Lonzo Ball. Comes in at a 3.5 overall average. Lonzo can be crafted as well. Can also be obtained from packs. That's how I got mine. Now, Lonzo's lowest categories is post scoring and strength, which is a 2. He also has a 3 in rebounding, and his shooting is pretty bad, right? He has a 3 in mid-range, a 3 in layups and dunks. However, he has a 5 in playmaking and a 5 in agility, along with a 4 in defending. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Some of the most important attributes for a point guard would be the playmaking and the agility. Those are super important. So the fact that he has a 5 in those 2 categories makes him an intriguing option to try to focus on building, right? In addition to that, his defending is a 4, which is pretty good as well. And his 3-point shot is a 4, which is fairly decent, right? If you want to bring up Lonzo's rebounding and his mid-range shooting or his layups and dunks, he could be a good point guard for your team. And the reason why I think it's important to consider that is that Lonzo has the duo ability, which pairs up with the Zion Williamson. And I know a lot of players want to chase the Zion, so it kind of makes sense to hook up the Lonzo as well. Then the top point guard, which is no surprise, right? Because Russell is one of the best players inside the 2K Mobile. His overall stat average is 4.2. He is craftable. Russell is a beast, right? He basically, his lowest category is a 4. While he has a 5 in agility and a 5 in playmaking. So that goes back to the 2 important stats I was talking about. So Russell, you can do so many things with. When building out Russell, it all depends on your play style because, again, he's strong in every category in the game. So if you want a Russell that's just going to go driving to the lane and dunking all day, then you focus on layups and dunks, right? If you want to make him a shooter, then you got to boost up his 3-point shot in mid-range. The whole point is Russell has a lot of options, and he's definitely somebody that if you could, you should try to craft, right? And another thing too that I want to point out is Russell has the clutch time ability, which will boost up his power rating. I don't try to talk about power rating a lot in this video because it's more focused on stats, but power is a big part of the game, And if you want to be able to compete in these events and go through the seasons, then this is something you want to consider when building out your team, because on every Friday, you'll get a power increase with Russell. All right, so now let's go into the shooting guards. All right, so for this team, there's only 2 shooting guards. And I know people are going to be surprised by this. So the lowest shooting guard in this team is Onyx Luka. Luka has a 3.5 overall stat average, but he can be craftable, right? So that's very good because it's an Onyx card. However, and I actually expressed this to 2K on Twitter as well, Luka could use some stat buffs, right? Luka's area of opportunity is post scoring, which is a 2. However, he has a lot of threes, right? He has a 3 in layups and dunks, a 3 in rebounding, and a 3 in strength. And playmaking is a 4, right? So I think 2 categories that Luka can get an increase in is playmaking and rebounding. Considering that he's averaging 8+ in both of those categories, he definitely can get it done. If those 2 attributes were to increase, Luka would be a much better overall player inside of this game, right? Not real life. Trust me, Luka's a beast. But his strengths, he has a lot of 4s, right? Luka has no 5s. So he has a 4 of shoot-off dribble, a 4 of mid-range shooting, a 4 of 3-point shot, agility, and playmaking and defending. So obviously those 3s bring down his score and the fact that he has no 5. But again, Luka pretty much can have a lot of categories focused on with builds, using the right gear or using mentors from season 1. So bear that in mind as well. I'm not saying it's a bad card. I'm just saying his stats don't really represent how good he really is. But it's an Onyx card, so the power level will help you throughout events and season requirements. So next is the top shooting guard for this team is Ruby Chris Middleton, which can be crafted. All right, so Chris Middleton has an overall stat average of 3.6. He can be crafted. His area of opportunity is strength and rebounding, which is a 2. And he also has a 3 in layups and dunks and post scoring. Now, I'll be honest with you, the way Chris Middleton plays, those categories are okay being left with. I think with Middleton, you can focus on his strongest areas, which is shoot-off dribble and mid-range shooting, which he has both a 5. So with Middleton, the way I was going to go about building them out, because you see, I had locked them already. I already unlocked them from draft picks. I want to focus on his 3-point shot and his defending. That way I can lock down opponents. And I also might focus on shoot-off dribble. So Chris Middleton overall is pretty good. Like those categories that he has low ratings in, I can do without because he's a shooting guard. And I don't really need him to grab a lot of rebounds. I don't need him to be in the post. So Chris Middleton is actually okay. And at a 3.6 overall, with the right gears and mentors, he can be solid on your team. And also bear in mind, he's a dual card that pairs up with Giannis. So this is somebody you might want to consider focusing on as well. All right, so for the small forwards, you have 3 players. The lowest is Emerald Robert Covington, who comes in at 3.4 overall stat average. Robert can be crafted, and he can also be obtained from draft picks. He comes in at overall stat average of 3.4. His strongest category is defending, which is a 5. That's very crucial. However, he's basically a 3 and 4 in most categories, where the 4s will be 3-point shot and agility, while everything else is a 3. So there's a lot of area of growth for Robert Covington. He could be used in your teams, right? He has a 4 and 3-point shot, which is helpful for small forward. And he can be crafted too. So he might be a card that you might want to try to put on your team if you're like an emerald player trying to go to sapphire, or if you are a gold player starting to get emeralds. Right? Next, you got Jason Tatum, who comes in at a 4.1 overall. Jason Tatum cannot be crafted. His lowest categories is post scoring and strength and rebounding, which is a 3. However, he has a 5 in 3-point shot, mid-range shooting, shoot-off dribble, and agility. So Jason Tatum, in my opinion, is really, really good in this game. Any player that has an overall stat average over 4, in my opinion, is solid. But the fact that he has a 5 in some really good categories, especially for a small forward, he has a 4 in defending too, and a 4 in playmaking. So you can do a lot with Jason Tatum. He's one of those complete players that, again, you're going to build them out based on your play style. So if you can get Jason Tatum, he is a good piece on your team. And for those of you that have been considering crafting Onyx Jason Tatum, if you need a new small forward, it's a great idea. I'm totally for the idea. Now, the highest small forward for this theme is Kawhi Leonard. No surprise, right? Again, Kawhi is one of the top players inside the game. His overall stat average is 4.4. All the categories are 4s and 5s. He has a 5 in shoot-off dribble, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in agility, and a 5 in defending. Everything else is a 4, so you can get super creative with Kawhi and make a really beast build. And like Glassman Kevin Durant, Kawhi is a prime player. So you can have a super powerful Kawhi Leonard on your team, which is going to be very helpful inside the events and seasons. Take a quick look at my Kevin Durant. 8,000 power. So for power forwards, you have 3. The lowest of the bunch is Ruby Kevin Garnett. Comes out at 3.5 overall stat average. If you guys have seen my last couple of stat breakdown videos, then you know that I think Kevin Garnett's rating is too low. He is craftable, but again, Kevin Durant unfortunately has some categories that really drag down his score, and that's 3-point shot being a 1 and agility being a 2. However, he has a 4 in layups and dunks, a 5 in mid-range shooting, and a 5 in post scoring, right? Those 2 categories are super clutch for a power forward. He also has a 4 in rebounding and a 4 in defending. Those are 2 categories I think should have been a 5, because KG is an excellent rebounder. But other than that, if you get Kevin Garnett, it's not a bad thing, right? You can do a lot of things with Kevin Garnett, but it's just that lacking of a 3-point shot is going to hurt you, because most of the power forwards in the game now can shoot 3-point shots. And if you are a player who prefers to play run and gun, or if you like to have all your players being able to shoot, Kevin Garnett might hurt your team a bit. So that's something to consider. Now next is Zion Williamson, who has a 3.9 overall stat average. Zion has a 5 in strength and a 5 in layups and dunks, right? The guy's a beast. Very similar to Shawn Kemp. His area of opportunity is going to be defending and shoot off dribble along with mid-range shooting. His 3-point shot is a 4, post scoring is a 4, and agility is a 4 along with rebound and playmaking. So he has very good stats overall, but he does have some stats that bring down his score, right? He can't shoot. That's really the issue with Zion, and he can't defend. So those are attributes that you can easily boost up with gears and mentors. I mean, if you're going to be rocking with the Lonzo Ball, you definitely need the Zion to get the dual bonus. So I don't think Zion is bad to go after. Again, he's 3.9 overall stat average, not too far from 4. And he has a lot of categories that you can really fix easily. Like, they're very common with the right sneakers of gear. With the right gear, Zion will be very complete. Next, you got Giannis, which is hands down like one of the best power forwards inside of 2K Mobile. Comes at a 4.2 overall stat average. Giannis basically is the same thing like Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. They're players that's so complete, and Kawhi Leonard as well. You can do whatever you want with their build. He has a 5 in agility and a 5 in playmaking, which is insane for a power forward. So if you were to give Giannis a jump shot, forget about it, right? Give him a mid-range, give him a 3-point shot, and he'll be like Thanos once he gets the last Infinity Stone. So you already know that's dangerous. All right, for the centers, you have a total of 3. The lowest is going to be Jonas Valanciunas. Comes in at a 3.6. He can be craftable. Valanciunas' area of opportunity would be playmaking, which is a 2. But not too many centers have that attribute high. Like, even Anthony Towns has a 3. So that's not like a deal breaker. What's a deal breaker for me with Valanciunas is that he has a 3 in defending, and he has a 3 in agility, along with a 3 in 3-point shot, right? I know centers don't normally shoot 3s, but when we speak about the other 2, you'll understand why I explained this. His strengths is going to be rebounding at a 5 and strength at a 5. He has a 4 in mid-range shooting, which is pretty good, and a 4 in post scoring. So Valanciunas can be built out the right way to help your team, but just really focus on his stronger attributes, because some of them you're not going to be able to do much with, but you can easily bring up rebounding, right? So you can bring that from a 5 to a 6 very easily. Defending, you can bring from a 3 to a 5 with the right gear and mentors. So there's a lot of potential for Valanciunas to be good on your team. Next, you got Jokic. Jokic is a 4.3 overall, one of the best centers in the game. He can be craftable as well, which is super huge, right, for Sapphire players. He has a 5 in rebounding, 5 in strength, 5 in post scoring, 5 in mid-range shooting, and he's got a 4 in shoot-off dribble, layups and dunks, 3-point shot and agility, and playmaking. Like, this dude's a beast. What really hurts him is a 3 in defending, but that can be so fixed quickly with the right gear and mentors. So Jokic is hands down someone you want to get on your team, if you could, right? And he has a team loyalty bonus, so if you pair him up with 2 other Nuggets, you'll be totally fine. Then last but not least, you got Karl-Anthony Towns, which has the prime player ability well, so this is a center that you want on your team. I want the Onyx Karl-Anthony Towns, but right now I got Ben Wallace, so I'm rocking pretty well. But Anthony Towns is a 4.3 overall, just like Jokic. However, he doesn't have playmaking, right? He has a 3 in playmaking. Everything else is a 4 and 5. He has a 5 in 3-point shot, 5 in mid-range shooting, 5 in post scoring, 5 in rebounding. Like, he can score. His defending is a 4 as well, which is not too bad. If you can boost up his playmaking, I would recommend it, because then he could be similar to Hakeem Olajuwon. And you guys have seen my videos. Hakeem gets dimes. Like, the dream is no joke. Definitely a play style you wouldn't mind mimicking, right? That's why so many players practice with him, because between a dream shake and his court vision and his ability to adapt to the game, hands down one of the best centers ever. And no one will even come close, right? He's one of the greatest. All right, so now we broke down all the players. Let's go into the top for each category. All right, so the top 5 players for this team, we'll start from lowest to highest. You got Amethyst Russell Westbrook. You got Onyx Giannis. You got Sapphire Jokic. Amethyst Anthony Towns. And then you got Amethyst Kawhi Leonard. Now for the point guard position, D'Angelo Russell, Lonzo Ball, and Russell Westbrook. Then for your shooting guards, you got Luca, then Chris Middleton. Then for your small forwards, you got Covington, Tatum, and Kawhi Leonard. And for your power forwards, you got Kevin Garnett, Zion, and Giannis. Then for your centers, you got Valanciunas, Jokic, and Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, the top 5 players that you want to try to craft are going to be Luka, Valanciunas, Chris Middleton, Russell Westbrook, and Jokic. And then the best team overall that you want to try to get at your point guard position will be Russell Westbrook. Shooting guard will be Chris Middleton. Small forward will be Kawhi Leonard. Power forward will be Giannis. And center will be Anthony Towns. So that is it. That is the winter theme. We broke down every stat for every rarity, for every position. We mentioned the top 5 overall, the best team you want to try to compile, the best players for each position, and we gave suggestions about the gears that you should try to use, and if you have mentors from season 1, that you should try to apply to boost the attributes of your players. So these deep dives do take time, so I do appreciate the support. I appreciate everyone watching it and sharing it, of course, right? So again, thank you for everything. Appreciate it. Shout out to the DRL Dream Team. Thanks, everyone. Peace out.